Hello, everyone. My name is Amy Rio. I will be presenting research I conducted on the timeshare industry. I spent a majority of my career supporting financial systems for a timeshare developer without understanding much about the timeshare industry or market. This research project gave me an opportunity to dive deeper into issues facing the timeshare industry and to critically examine a pressing issue using the skills and knowledge I gained while pursuing my master's in hospitality administration from UNLV. Yes, you are about to listen to a timeshare presentation without the benefit of staying at one. I will try my best to make this presentation intriguing and insightful that will spark your interest to learn more about this exciting and complex market and product. The timeshare product has a long and turbulent history in the hospitality industry. The idea originated in the 1960s when the developer of a French Alps ski resort encouraged vacationers to stop renting a room and buy a fraction of the hotel instead, insisting it was cheaper. The idea had merit. It assumed many vacationers returned to the same location year after year, attaching treasured memories of fun-filled experiences to the location. Timeshare afforded vacationers a place to return each year as desired without having to invest a small fortune in buying and maintaining a private residence. Accommodations are often home-like or better. Most timeshare units have floor plans that closely resemble two-bedroom, two-bathroom apartments that more easily accommodate group travel than adjoining hotel rooms. Operators also continually update and upscale on-site amenities in order to stay ahead of their competitors, providing vacationers plenty of ways to relax and indulge without leaving the property. In 2009, the baby boomer generation were the largest segment of timeshare owners, representing 45% of the timeshare owner base. Baby boomers purchased timeshare with their retirement in mind, when they would dedicate more time to travel and stay in favorite spots for extended periods. Baby boomers bought into the idea of purchasing a vacation lifestyle, one they could afford to pay for while working, but most likely unable to afford once retired. The industry has since extended its appeal beyond the baby boomer to young, financially secure families that are highly educated with diverse backgrounds. 79% of today's owners are married or in a domestic partnership, and over half have children under the age of 18. 72% of owners are college graduates, with 23% holding graduate degrees. 42% of new owners are African American or Hispanic. These owners are typically 40 years old on average and earn $100,000 a year or more, are employed full-time, and have disposable income to afford their timeshare. Even though timeshare may be less expensive than purchasing and maintaining a private property, it still requires a sizable investment and continued commitment from owners. According to a 2019 survey conducted by the American Resort Development Association, the average price for 1 week of timeshare was approximately $21,500 US. Due to the substantial upfront investment, more than 90% of timeshare buyers finance their initial purchase, thus committing owners to a lengthy repayment plan. In addition to the upfront investment, owners are required to pay annual maintenance fees needed to maintain the resort. Maintenance fees cover the cost of property upkeep, such as labor and operational supplies, and upgrades to common areas and units to keep the property fresh and attractive for owners and potential buyers. Maintenance fees vary by resort. On average, maintenance fees are an additional $1,000 annually for you owners, often increasing by as much as 5% each year. For some timeshare properties, maintenance fees are closer to $3,000 annually. If major repairs are needed to the property, for instance, to repair storm damage, an additional special assessment fee can be levied among owners to finance construction. Increasing maintenance costs and special assessments are the greatest grievance among timeshare owners. Others found the hassle of using their timeshare exasperating. Disgruntled owners cited lack of transparency in the reservation systems, limited or no availability at their favorite resort, or incompetent customer assistance as also contributing to their frustration. Current owners are also seeing the value of their initial investment deflate over time. Popular locations and travel seasons are requiring additional investment to guarantee availability. Timeshare companies will then engage in ongoing aggressive sales tactics to encourage existing owners to upgrade their initial investment. It is the culmination of these criticisms over the course of ownership that often lead owners to abandon their investment. The most common form of abandonment is owner delinquency. Delinquency occurs when an owner stops paying on their financial obligations. They stop paying on their loans, stop paying on their annual maintenance fees, and stop taking vacations with the company they initially invested with. Delinquency comes at a great cost to both owners and timeshare developers. Terminating a timeshare contract is no simple undertaking and often comes at great cost to owners. Given the complexity of the purchase contract and varying state laws governing timeshare sales, many owners need to engage legal representation to negotiate their timeshare exits. Others try to offload their investment in the burgeoning timeshare resale market. Yet the timeshare resale market is flooded with unsold inventory, forcing owners to discount their timeshares by 90% or more to attract buyers. If an owner is lucky enough to engage with a buyer, they will still need a lawyer to prepare and review the transaction's paperwork. To avoid these headaches, many owners simply stop payments on their timeshares, resulting in foreclosures and damaging their credit score for years. For timeshare companies, this loss of cash flow significantly hinders their operations. As mentioned previously, 90% of owners take out a loan to pay for their timeshare. Timeshare companies often sell these loans in exchange for a monetary loan, a cost-effective and popular way to raise money. A timeshare company repays the loan as the loans securing the financing are paid. These financial arrangements require meeting certain repayment conditions. There becomes a risk in meeting these financial obligations if underlying loans go unpaid. Consistent inability to make loan payments could ultimately affect a timeshare company's creditworthiness, making it more difficult and more costly to attain financing. There is also substantial operational cost to timeshare developers when owners become delinquent. There are costs incurred pursuing collection for non-payment and inventory recovery. There are also substantial legal fees incurred defending against class action lawsuits brought by disgruntled owners. Maintenance fees and special assessments provide much needed income for much needed property repairs and upgrades. When owners stop paying these fees, the properties can quickly fall into disrepair and become old and outdated in their amenities, a downward spiral that becomes increasingly difficult to correct. The purpose of the study was to understand how delinquency evolves by researching the factors that motivate buyer commitment and how to invoke them to overcome reasons for owner abandonment in timeshare. To try and understand this phenomenon, a literature review was conducted that focused on understanding the correlation between customer satisfaction and customer commitment, how frequency and ease of use contribute to customer satisfaction, and how ongoing maintenance fees affect the perception of owner value. The perceived value of a purchase often dictates whether the buyer is satisfied with their purchase. The greater the perceived value, the greater chance a customer will be and remain satisfied with their purchase, as well as committed to the brand from which they bought. Perceived value is often explained as a linear relationship between a customer's perception of a product's extrinsic characteristics, such as product quality, brand image, customer service, and ease of use. The greater value a customer associates with a product's attributes, the greater the perceived value of the product to the customer. Yet timeshare purchases come with a substantial amount of risk for customers that are both financial and performance related. This study explores how risk affects perceived value and how this risk assessment changes over time. There are two independent schools of thought on how consumers assess value when evaluating a purchase. One approach reasons that customers purchase products with the greatest perceived value based on overall extrinsic cues, such as price and brand name, to form perceptions of product quality and ownership benefit. For example, consumers often equate a higher price with a higher quality product because high quality products typically cost more than lower quality ones. Consumers also rely on brand awareness and reputation when making purchases, making product quality inferences based upon brand name. The other school of thought suggests consumers evaluate the risks of ownership to form perception of value. When consumers evaluate whether a product or service will fulfill a desired need, they are innately assessing the risk that owning the product will meet and perform to their expectations for the financial outlay required for ownership. Consumers assess ownership risks such as future performance, long-term value, and expected maintenance based on the same extrinsic product cues such as quality, brand reputation, and price. Consumers often pay premiums believing a higher cost and branded product imply a product of a higher quality that is less prone to failure and a better value than a less expensive alternative. Yet, higher prices and the resulting monetary sacrifice can also represent an increased risk of loss if the product does not perform as intended. Two scholars, Sanjay Agarwal and R. Kenneth Tees, thought it interesting that consumers relied on extrinsic cues to assess both perceptions of quality as well as perceptions of risk, and felt further examination needed to understand how extrinsic cues affect a consumer's evaluation and estimation of perceived risks. In 2001, they embarked on a study that combined both schools of thought on consumer buying behavior and the evaluation of perceived value. Agarwal and Tees's model is interesting in that the elements and assumptions under study are quite relevant and applicable in timeshare sales. Well-known, respectable luxury companies such as Wyndham, Marriott, and Hilton offer timeshare as part of their portfolios. The introduction of these reputable, trustworthy hospitality brands to the timeshare market has lent the product a sense of legitimacy and trustworthiness. Consumers are also paying a premium for their timeshare products in order to secure a high-quality vacation experience. The extrinsic cues that Agarwal and Tees hypothesize as contributing positively to perceived value are present in timeshare sales, such as premium location destinations and high-quality accommodations and amenities, along with a premium price expected for quality. Agarwal and Tees also show that there is a reduced perception of performance and financial risks when perceived product quality is high. Yet, the study did not address the effects on perceived value when performance and financial risks occur. Agarwal and Tees' model suggests that buyers perceive the product quality to be high and risk low relative to the initial monetary sacrifice required for ownership. Therefore, it stands to reason that the risks encountered post-purchase attribute to changes in perceived value to the point where abandoning a purchase becomes a reasonable option. By undertaking an examination on how customers perceive, process, and manage risk post-purchase, we can begin to understand how the phenomenon of risk in consumer purchasing can help us understand the delinquency dilemma occurring in timeshare. Research found that the most commonly cited risk in timeshare ownership is financial. Buying into timeshare is a large initial investment, often requiring owners to finance their initial purchase. Yet the most often cited concern is the recurring maintenance fees needed for property upkeep. Owners may be restricted to how often they can vacation and when they can travel, which hinders their use of their investment and considered a performance risk. Performance and financial risks, along with loads of bad publicity, put additional psychological and social pressure on owners attempting to justify their buying decision to themselves, family, and friends. Perceived risks vary along a continuum of resistance intensity. On one side of the continuum, perceived risks can be low or negligible, resulting in positive, long-lasting consumer brand relationships. Alternatively, negative experiences with a brand raise resistance intensity levels, and subtle signs of consumer resistance begin to occur. Consumer attitude toward an object, in this case timeshare, also varies along a continuum. As vacations become distant memories, arguments questioning desirability and feasibility become more persuasive. The greater distance owners place between themselves and their timeshare investment, more likely mental constructs regarding their timeshare will change that affect their future evaluation and behavior towards the product. However, the bond between brand and customer strengthens when customers amass objective knowledge and increased certainty regarding their purchase, gained from repeated successful use and experience with the product. As supportive and affirming knowledge builds, customers become less susceptible to non-supporting messaging incongruent to their beliefs. So how do timeshare companies overcome risk of ownership to turn dissatisfied owners into happy ones? As risks manifest over the course of timeshare ownership, owners become dissatisfied with their purchase and less committed to maintaining a relationship with the hospitality company that sold them the product. The risks ultimately have a detrimental effect on perceived value of a timeshare product relative to the owner's lifestyle and sense of self, to the point where owners willingly choose to walk away from their investment. Our initial research questions set out to understand the correlation between customer satisfaction and customer commitment. For customer satisfaction to exist, customers have to believe in the value derived from ownership. In Agrawal and Tease's model, risk affects customer evaluation of value. Our findings showed that as risk occurs, perceived value wanes. Yet the research also showed this change in perception occurs over time along a continuum. As continued exposure to risk grows without any alternative knowledge or evidence pertaining to value introduced, dissatisfaction grows and commitment wanes. Our subsequent question considered how frequency and ease of use contributed to consumer satisfaction and timeshare ownership. Research showed that greater use led to more firsthand knowledge of the product. This exposure enables owners to solidify their own opinions regarding value. Research findings showed that owners with well-informed positive opinions about a product are less susceptible to incongruent information that contradicts their perception of value. Finally, consideration was needed to understand how ongoing maintenance costs affected owners' perception of value. The ongoing cost of ownership is a financial risk, one that owners willingly accept at time of purchase. Yet, the Agrawal and Tease model shows that it is the combination of performance and financial risk that affects perceived value. If owners face mounting issues in using their purchase, the performance risk experienced along with the expected financial risk tips the scale, where customers begin to reconsider the value of ownership. This study shows that timeshare developers and operators need to address the risks owners make when purchasing a timeshare in order to combat owner delinquency. One way is for developers to ensure owners are using their purchase by helping owners use their product more frequently. If owners are having a hard time finding when to take a vacation, they are likely having a hard time planning one. Tailored messaging on points balance and options available to owners based on their location and travel preference may spur owners to action. This is also an area that could benefit from savvy social media, with Vacation Counselor posting unique ways owners can use their points. The performance risk owners encounter in timeshare may not be entirely within the developer's control. Even if the developer and counselors make every accommodation possible to go beyond an owner's expectation, timing and extraneous circumstances can still spoil the best laid plans, intentions, and actions. Yet, maintenance fees are within a developer's control to manage. Repackaging timeshare into smaller period increments may alleviate long-term concerns. Decreasing time commitment would enable developers to turn inventory over faster to possibly reduce or even eliminate maintenance costs. Shorter commitments to the product could encourage use, thus increasing commitment by owners to their financial obligations. Eliminating or reducing annual maintenance fees has many competitive benefits. This strategy would reduce delinquencies occurring solely based on ongoing and increasing maintenance fees, thus reducing collection and litigation costs and saving companies millions of dollars each year. This would also drive demand back to the primary sellers of timeshare and away from secondary markets that require new owners to assume maintenance fee costs. This move would also have remarkable upside by creating goodwill with owners, thus increasing customer retention and loyalty that could drive additional purchases and generate positive word of mouth to influence other potential buyers. The first company to introduce a product without maintenance fees will have a distinct advantage over their competitors. Some final thoughts. A common idiom in marketing is that it's cheaper to retain a customer than acquire a new one. Acquiring a new timeshare owner is becoming increasingly difficult and expensive. A quick internet search will return many articles on the risks and pitfalls of timeshare ownership. They are the same reasons people give for becoming disillusioned with their purchase. Yet little material exists about how this process evolves. Timeshare developers and management companies would benefit immensely from further research into why previously satisfied owners' attitudes change toward their purchase and take steps to reverse this course. This research tackles head-on the most common concerns of timeshare owners, issues the industry has yet to successfully address or resolve. By outlining a possible explanation for changing owner sentiment, companies now have tangible areas on which to focus their efforts concerning customer retention. Reducing or eliminating maintenance fee revenue is a bold suggestion, but one worth further investigation regarding viability. This is a large source of much-needed revenue for timeshare operators, but a revenue stream under threat as delinquency rates rise. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my thoughts on issues facing the timeshare industry. I hope you enjoyed what you heard. If you would like to learn more, please reach out to me via email.